Hi, welcome to Open Door Yoga. My name is Michelle, and this chair yoga class is just a little bit different than some of the more recent classes that we've done together. In this class, it's going to be split almost into two halves, where in the first half, we will be doing postures entirely in seated. And then as we transition towards the second half of class, you can do those postures seated or in standing using your chair as a balance assist prop. So you have a lot of choices today. In terms of props, Rooster, are you joining me today? Are you joining for the practice? The people haven't seen you in so long. This is Rooster. He's doing well. The only prop that you may need today, in addition to your stable chair, is some type of length for your arms. So I have a yoga strap. You may also grab any household item like a winter scarf, a hand towel, like a bathroom or kitchen hand towel. Even a belt could work, just to give your arms a little extra length. This class is going to focus on our hips and our hamstrings. So if those parts of your body are feeling a little tight today, make sure you have something to help you out. So take your time, get set up, then let's get started. We're going to start this practice in seated. And so if you have your nice arm lengthening prop with you, set it off to the side. We don't need it quite yet. Begin to scoot your back body away from the backrest, just so that you can ground both of your feet into the ground. Shimmy a little from side to side so that you can root down through both of your sitting bones evenly. And sometimes it's hard to feel those sitting bones when we first sit down. And so shimmying from side to side kind of shifts that flesh a little bit so that we can feel that grounding sensation. From here, let's focus on getting a nice long spine. And so we're going to focus on that low back area, those hips, hamstrings, low back. A lot of those muscles kind of meet together and join in similar areas. And so tightness in one area can affect the others. So let's make sure we get that low back too today. So as you ground down, root down through your sitting bones, allow the top of your head to reach up towards the sky. You may start to notice some stretching through the sides of your neck, through your side bodies, a little bit of lengthening in that low back. Meet up with your breath. Maybe on your inhales, we rise a little bit more. And exhales, we remind ourselves to root down through those sitting bones. And sometimes rooting down through those feet can help too. We'll take a few breaths. And if you notice that you're starting to kind of arch that back because you can't get any higher, I like the effort. Just rein it in a little bit. So if you're noticing that arching, try to imagine pulling your belly button back in towards your spine, stacking those shoulders over the hips. You may notice that your core is working a little bit here, and that's good. We want to work on those postural muscles that help support our nice, healthy, strong, upright spine. Let's take one more breath in. Exhale, release your hands down to your sides. Right hand grabs onto the seat of your chair. Inhale, sweep that left arm up and over, lifting up and over that waist as you hinge towards the right. Gaze can be neutral. You could look down. You could even look up if it's available in your neck. Breathe into your left rib cage. Inhale, rise on up. And exhale, gently twist to the right. You can keep your right hand where it is, but left hand's going to come towards that right knee, maybe to the outside. Very gentle twist. Allow the movement to come from your core. Stay connected with that breath as long as you can for today's practice. Inhale and wind. Let's take it to the other side. So exhale, grab onto that chair with your left hand, and then inhale, sweep your right arm up and over, hinging to the right. If you're noticing that you're starting to kind of round through that upper back body, again, it's natural. pull that shoulder blade to stack those shoulders on top of each other. Inhale, rise. Exhale, gentle twist to the left. We're just warming up our spine, getting a little mobility into our low back, mid back. So no need to pull too hard or crank your body. We're going to start this practice treating our body with kindness and love, and we will end the practice doing the same thing. Inhale, unwind. From here, let's get down into those hips. So if you want, you can scoot forward just a little bit more in your chair so that more of your hamstring is away from the seat. It's just going to give you a little more mobility, only if it's available and you feel stable in your body to do so. Hug that right knee in towards your chest. We'll hold here for a second. So if you want to take a little ankle mobility by doing some ankle rolls or pointing and flexing into that ankle, feel free to do so. Sometimes that feels nice to give a little love to our feet. And then we're going to shift our hand position to the bottom of our upper leg. So we're grabbing onto our hamstring, and very gently we're going to extend and bend into that right knee. And this does not have to be significant. We don't have to come into a perfectly straight leg. We're just warming up that hamstring, getting a little bit of movement down there. And so if your movement is small, keep it small. Maybe as you go and you send your breath down into that lower body, maybe you get a little bit more extension as you practice. Maybe, maybe not. It's kind of the fun of the practice. We'll take 2 more extensions, however big or small they are in your body. On the very last one, we're going to pause for just 3 full breath cycles, in and out, in and out. One more full inhale. Release that breath completely. And release that foot with it. We'll take it to the other side. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. And again, we'll pause. So feel free to take that, any ankle movement that feels good. Pause in the places that feel really good in your calf, in your shin, in your foot. And maybe check in with your upper back body. Sometimes as we start to come into these postures that require a little bit of flexibility down here, we tend to get back into that rounding in the upper back body that we mentioned earlier. And it happens. And if you're noticing that in your body, don't panic. Just check in. See if you can restack those shoulders over the hips and get that nice healthy posture. From here, let's move into those extensions. So take your time with it. Again, the first ones can be very, very small. Maybe they're just gentle kicks, waking up the back body. Especially if you're feeling soreness in your knee, it might be a lot to just extend your leg fully right off the bat. So work into it. Listen to the limits of your body and move towards those limits, not past them. Just take a couple more here. And then on our next one, we're going to come into that 3 breath hold. So extend that leg as far as it feels comfortable, and then we'll hold for 3 breaths. And breath number 2, maybe check in with those shoulders and that upper back body. And then last full breath in. And exhale, release your breath, release your foot. Take a minute here. If you want, you can do some wrist rolls. Sometimes it's a lot to hold up our legs. Our legs weigh a solid portion of our body weight. And so give some love to those wrists, stretch them out. And then we're going to come into what a lot of yoga teachers would call a wide-legged stance. That can feel very intimidating if your hips are sore. Let's just think about it as a wider leg stance. So this is our narrow stance. we're just gonna open our feet a little bit. So maybe this is where our posture is today. Maybe we can open up a little bit more. We'll practice throughout this sequence, but find where your comfortable wider leg stance is. And then we're gonna bring our hands to our thighs, fingers pointing towards the ground, and slowly begin to send one shoulder forward and down. Lift it back up and take it to the other side. So we're gonna go through this a few times today, by the way, but since this is our first time, we're gonna move slowly. You don't have to dip your shoulders very far. Maybe you're feeling that in your back and you just wanna take it slow. If this does feel good in your body, you can dip a little deeper and maybe push just slightly to keep that back leg in external rotation, to keep it open. But again, be kind to your body, know how your body is feeling today, listen to what it's telling you, and move with grace and kindness and self-love. Let's just take one more shoulder dip to each side. And then we'll come back to our nice comfy seat. From this comfortable, easy seat, let's get into the hips and hamstrings just a little bit more. So turn your body to face the right side of the room, allowing the chair to support the back of your right upper leg, almost cradling that right hamstring. From here, find a comfortable, stable position for your hands. Allow your left knee to drop down towards the ground, and then do a little check-in. The intention of this posture is to open up this left hip flexor space, or this space on the front of our left hip. So if this feels like too much sensation already, bring that foot in to bring a little bit more bend into that knee to find that position that does feel comfortable. If you're looking for more sensation, we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna send that foot back as far as it feels comfortable, maybe even finding a little lift through that hamstring. So take a moment to get settled, get adjusted. Depending on your stable chair, it may take a little bit of adjustment to feel comfortable here. And then we're gonna play just a bit with our balance. So if you feel okay to do so, hug those thighs towards the midline, towards each other. It's gonna bring a little bit more stability in your lower body, and maybe you feel comfortable to lift your hands slightly, maybe bring them to your heart space, or maybe send them up and overhead. You may feel that a little bit more intensely through your hip flexor stretch, or you may even feel, you may like that opening through your chest as well. So full breath in, and then exhale, we'll release whichever option we chose, and we'll begin to shift into a warrior two stance. Now, if your leg did not extend all the way, it's okay. You can keep a slight bend in it. Otherwise, we'll extend that left leg behind us, keeping that right hip as open as feels comfortable. Stack your shoulders over your hips, extend those arms out to a T. You can gaze past those right fingertips. See if on your exhales you can stay grounded, stay rooted down through those legs. And then maybe on your inhales, we lift up a little higher off of our waist to feel a lightness through our upper body. On your next inhale, flip that right palm and begin to make your way to reverse warrior. Maybe your left hand just gently grazes the outside of your left leg. Keep reaching up towards the sky. Breathe into your right rib cage. And then exhale, send that forearm down towards the top of your right thigh. Extended side angle. Now there can be a tendency to dump into this right forearm, especially if our core muscles are starting to get tired. See if you can use your core strength to lift yourself, almost like there's no weight being pushed down through that forearm. Inhale, rise back up, warrior two. Exhale, release. Slowly, you can even help with this left hand. Guide that left foot back in front. Shimmy around, bring your right foot to meet, and we're gonna take that wider leg stance again. So just like we talked about the first time, if you're starting to notice that your hips are opening up a little bit, maybe that stance looks a little bit wider. If you're still feeling really tight, and sometimes that's the case, mobility is just not our friend some days. Keep the same stance that you had before, or maybe even rein it in a little bit more if that was uncomfortable. Then we can take our shoulder dips, alternating between the right and the left. And now you can check in not only with those hips, but check in with that back. Maybe you're opening up just enough to be able to bring a little bit more movement into your body. And again, my favorite phrase, maybe, maybe not. And if the answer is maybe not, no worries. No worries at all. That's why we practice. Let's make our way back to our comfortable, easy seat, and then we'll take it to the left. So turn to face the left side of the room. Find that same supportive position with your chair, dropping your right knee. First, feel stable. And then play around with the position of that right foot, that right knee, to get the sensation that you want in that right hip flexor. And one of the things that our human bodies have that make us human is that we carry stress and tension differently on different sides of our body. And so you may notice this especially in your hips. And so think about matching the intensity of the previous side, not necessarily the posture. So it might not look the same, but we want it to feel the same. So that might mean a little bit more bend in one knee versus the other. Just to feel that matching, that balance in relation to sensation. Now hug those thighs towards each other. Play a little bit with your balance. So maybe on this side, we don't feel comfortable lifting our hands very high, or maybe we bring them a little bit higher than the other side. Breathe deep. Maybe feel that opening through your chest. One more full breath in. Exhale, release those hands from whatever position they were just holding, and then pivot on that back foot. Toes can be pointed straight, or maybe they're in slightly. And again, find the position that feels best in your body. So maybe that back leg is straight, or maybe it's not there quite yet. And then extend those arms out to a T. Warrior two. If you're noticing that your shoulders are starting to creep up towards your ears, see if you can relax them down. Allow them to sink down towards the earth. We don't want to hold any extra tension than we need to. It's kind of just a general rule in life. Inhale, flip that left palm, make your way to reverse warrior. And then exhale, extended side angle. Again, watch that left torso if it's starting to sink down too far, and keep that lift, engaging through those core muscles that help support our spine. If you're rounding, stack those shoulders. One more breath in, and then exhale, release. Make your way back to warrior one on your inhale, and then exhale, release those hands. Shimmy your way back in whatever way is comfortable to you to our wider leg stance. So maybe it's a little wider than last time. Maybe it's about where you left off. Last time coming into these shoulder dips, and you do have a choice. You can take these shoulder dips from side to side if that's what feels good in your back and your hips. If you're looking for a different sensation, another option would be to hinge at your hips, coming into a wide leg forward fold. Your fingertips can come down to the earth. You could even shake your head from side to side, no. Up and down, yes. And if that does not feel good, We've got our shoulder dips that we can always come back to. So find your yoga, find your practice, make this your own. One more full breath in and out, and then we'll come back to seated. And we're gonna get ready for phase 2, or where you get a little bit more choice in your practice. You always have a choice in your practice, but this one is actually built into the video. And so you can stay seated if you'd like, or you can come to standing, and we're gonna just face the side of our chair. We wanna have room so that you can hold onto the backrest for stability. You could even get close to a wall if that feels a little bit more stable. And if you're in standing, what we're gonna do is slowly step our right foot up onto the seat of the chair. And you can use your left hand to help you if that hip's just feeling a little sore or tender today. And then send those hips forward and down. Now, if you're seated on the chair, you're just gonna come into that crescent lunge option that we took earlier and play with extending that back leg as much as it feels comfortable in your body. Now, if you're in standing and that felt like not enough sensation, move that left foot back just a little bit. That's gonna allow you to extend a little bit more, bring a little more sensation into that hip. So conversely, if that doesn't feel good, scoot that left foot in a little bit closer. Take a few deep breaths here. If you're in standing, you might feel some sensation in that calf muscle, stretching a little bit down closer to the ankle. Inhale, rise back up wherever you are. We'll take it to the other side. So plant that right foot. If you're in standing, send your hips forward and down. And if you're seated, just shimmy over and face the left side of the room. We'll stay here for about 5 full breaths. Notice if you're starting to turn. Sometimes when a posture is feeling a little intense in our body, we tend to try to bail out of it. It's just kind of our human instinct to do. And bailing out of this posture would look like turning our hips out to the side. And so if you're noticing that in your body, imagine pulling that left thigh bone back into your hip socket, like both of your hip points have headlights, like car headlights. And we want them shining forwards. One more full breath in. Exhale, release. We'll come out of this posture. We're gonna make our way into one more standing posture or one more seated posture for this portion of the practice. And if you're in standing, I'm gonna have you face so that the chair, I'm gonna finagle here a little bit, is on the left hip. And so we're gonna be using it here in order to keep our balance. So you can kind of imagine how you wanna position your body so that this chair is giving you a little bit support for your balance. Now this is the posture we're gonna want our arm extensioning or arm lengthening device for. And so if you have a strap, a belt, hand towel, heavy winter scarf, just place it over your right shoulder for now. The posture we're gonna be doing is extended hand to big toe posture. And what that looks like without a strap is taking a bind with your index and middle finger on your big toe, finding a nice tall spine, open through your chest, and then extending through that right leg. Now that posture is not very accessible in many bodies. And especially for me, I have chronically tight hamstrings and low back. So it just is very hard to combine that sensation with balance. So I always like to use a strap myself. And if you'd like to use one, whether you're seated or standing, what you're gonna do is bring the strap under your right toe mound, and then you can either hold on to the strap, or if you have enough room, you could even kind of loop it around your hand. Sometimes that helps give a little bit more stability. And then seated or standing, hug that right knee in, oh goodness, right knee in towards your chest, and then extend that leg long. So seated or standing, if you have a slight bend in your knee, that's okay. If it's really hard for you to extend all the way, you can have a little bit of a bend. That's just fine. Imagine pressing the sole of your foot towards the front of the room and keeping those shoulders stacked. Nice neutral gaze. Breathe deep. 3 more full breaths in and out. If you'd like to test your balance, you can practice lifting that left hand, knowing that you always have that back rest to come back to. 1 more full breath in. And exhale, let's release this leg. Take a minute in a mountain pose or a seated mountain pose. Feel the echo of the posture. Sometimes there's a tendency to do some shimmies, some shakes. I want you to feel what that posture feels like energetically, physically, as it settles into your body. So find a little bit of stillness just for another breath cycle. Then we'll take it to the other side. So if you're in seated, there's a little less kind of finagling of the chair than if you're in standing. But if you're in standing, just shift that chair so into the position where you feel stable with that right hand. And then you can use your strap or not. Seated or standing, if you're going to use it, let's bring it under our toe mound. And then either hold on to it or maybe kind of loop it around that hand, whatever feels good. Feel stable, and then bend your knee into your chest. Full breath in. Exhale, extend. We'll pause here for a few breaths. If you are testing your balance, find a drishti or a stable gazing point that you can look at to help you keep your balance. Maybe you check in with your hips and notice if you're kind of bailing out of this posture. If you are, no worries, it's a hard posture. Just invite those hip points to keep shining forwards. 1 more full breath in. Exhale, release this posture. We're all gonna make our way back onto our chair. And lucky for us, we do not need our prop anymore. So take a seat. Get comfy, maybe take a breath cycle to pull those shoulders back, just to come down a little bit from that posture. I know it can be a little intense. Let's make our way to some nice, yummy stretches. So find your way to a figure 4 posture by bringing your right ankle to the bottom of your left thigh, and then flex into that ankle. So imagine pulling the top of your foot towards your shin. That's gonna keep your knee safe and also keep the sensation in your hips. So full breath in, nice tall spine. And exhale, maybe you hinge at your hips forwards as far as it feels comfortable in your body. If hinging does not feel good at all, and for many of us that's the case, bring your fingertips behind you, press into them, see if you can just find a little lift, a little opening through that heart space, maybe a slight lean if it's available to you. Breathe deep. Allow those nice full inhales and exhales, those deep breaths, to help your body slow back down. Especially when we are physically taxing our body, it can be hard to keep a nice, calm, regulated breath. So if you lost that connection between your breath and your body, take a minute to bring it back, reconnect. On your next inhale, rise or release this posture. And you have a choice. We're coming into a twist. You can keep your feet as is. You can cross your right leg all the way over the left. If neither one of those feel good, you can always come back to that comfortable, easy seat. So I'm going to cross my legs because I feel like it brings a little more sensation into this middle spine, that thoracic spine, and that feels good to me today. But take the option that feels good for you. So full breath in, reach the crown of your head up towards the sky to create as much space as you can between all of your vertebrae. And then exhale, use that space, fill that space by twisting from the core to your right. So on your inhales, find length, find lift. And exhale, maybe you use that space to twist just a little bit deeper. But if you're finding that you're really pulling on your body, just rein it back in. Shoulders are staying stacked over those hips. We're not leaning too much in one direction or the other if we can help it. And inhale, unwind. Uncross whatever leg position that you had, and we'll take it to the other side. So find this figure 4 safety first by finding that flexion in your ankle. And then inhale, find a tall spine. Exhale, lift or hinge. And just like we mentioned when we were doing that hip flexor stretch, this is a very strong outer hip stretch. And so depending on how you carry your stress, your tension, your body weight throughout the day, you will most likely notice that you can move more deeply into a posture, more deeply on one side than the other. 100% normal. Again, think about matching the feeling, not necessarily matching what the posture looks like from one side to the other. Inhale, rise. Find that leg position that feels most comfortable for you, and then exhale, twist to the left. Allow your breath to keep slowing your body down. And as you release tension, maybe check in with those shoulders. If they're creeping up towards your ears, relax them down. Allow your body to feel grounded and rooted into the chair. Inhale, unwind and release. From here, you can take any last minute postures that feel good in your body, or maybe you make your way directly to the restorative posture of your choice. So if you'd like to take a typical Shavasana down on the mat, or maybe another comfy reclined spot in your house, feel free to do so. Or maybe you just extend your legs, lean back in your chair, and take your restorative posture seated right where we left off. Wherever you're going with this practice and whatever you have going on the rest of your day, thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.